What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kiss Me Podcast. I am one of your hosts. I guess you could say this is the Crazy Kiss Countdown in a way. For this episode, I'm one of your hosts, Eli Folsom.
And I'm Luke Neely.
This week, we decided another album review on the horizons here. Again, we just kind of randomly picked one from the list, so we decided, hey, let's go with another one that we both have not listened to yet and have been wanting to. So, what better reason than today to finally listen to it? And we are talking about the Paul Stanley Soul Station album, Now and Then. So, yes, this was first time listening to the whole thing through for both of us. I was definitely excited to listen to this album. Been meaning to for a while. So,
Yeah.
pretty interesting take there. Um, of course, we got polls and things to catch up on. We do have a few. There's a couple things, of course, that's popped up in the Kiss world lately since last week. Of course, the biggest news starting off is the word that Paul Stanley, unfortunately tested positive for COVID. And they did have to, they say postpone at the time, not cancel, but postponed the date that they were supposed to do the other night in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. They also have now announced since then that tomorrow night's show scheduled in North Carolina is also now postponed. Got a feeling that the one that's coming up in Dayton on Thursday is going to end up being postponed or canceled too. It's a wait and see thing now with these shows. But of course, the main thing is, best wishes to Paul, and hopefully, he just comes right out of this. Hopefully, it's not, much worse than flu symptoms at this point, especially being vaccinated on top of that.
Right. Definitely agreed. It was very surprising to see, but, knowing how kind of up in age the guys in Kiss are getting, it's definitely at least a little bit of a concern. So, yeah, like you said, hopefully the fact that he's vaccinated will help at least enough that it won't be anything serious.
Yeah, absolutely. And, plus he's, in pretty damn good shape for his age. So I think that's going to help him too.
And,
it seems like they were right on top of it. And hopefully everything's all right. From what I understand, the rest of the band and crew and everybody has already been tested again. Everybody else is negative so far. You kind of wonder, when they did the meet and greets now, the way they're doing them, plus during the shows, throwing picks out. Paul likes to put picks in his mouth and throw them out to people. So kind of wonder there, hopefully if someone, fingers crossed, was in the crowd during one of those shows that they maybe clean them things off or something. But you never know. It's crazy, but
right.
Speaking of age, that's another thing. Happy belated birthday to our favorite demon, Gene Simmons, 72 the other night. And I saw a clip where they did do a little happy birthday and sang happy birthday to him during one of the shows, and that was always a cool little thing to see. Ronnie, what's up? He says, what are your thoughts about what Gene said? He's pretty pissed about. Are you referring to the apology? Because there was a video posted where he apologized to David Lee Roth. Is that what you're referring to, or something that I'm not aware of? But yeah, that was another little tidbit too. A video came out interviewing Gene, and he definitely apologized to David Lee Roth. He blamed it on his diarrhea of the mouth, which again is another saying we've heard before from Gene when he puts his foot in his mouth. But he did apologize sincerely, and it's only fitting. So don't need any bad blood there. Two of my favorite bands. It's like I don't want to see them button heads and all that stuff. So yeah, Ron, let us know here when you get a chance what exactly you meant, and we'll be sure to discuss that. But I think that's it. I think that's kind of all the news that's broken or since last week. So again, thoughts and best wishes out to Paul and everyone else. Ron, I'm not sure if I saw exactly what Gene's quote was about people not having the vaccine. If you want to fill us in on that.
As you can see, we're back in the studio today.
Ronnie was saying it's regarding Gene's comments about people choosing not to have the vaccine, which I'm not sure if I've heard an exact statement or anything. I don't know if you have, but
no, not that I've seen.
I asked him to maybe fill us in a little bit on that, but like I said, we could bounce back to that here in a little bit. We'll just go ahead and move on, kind of get our usual stuff caught up here with the polls and everything. So let's see where we're at here.
Yes. First off, guys, no new comments this week, at least from the last week's video. So at least I'd kind of like to start off and get your guys' thoughts. Comment on this video, even if you're not watching the live stream, if you're watching this later. Do you guys not like the game nights? Just completely, honestly curious. It's not any we don't want to waste anybody's time or have you not click on our show if we're doing something you're not interested in. And if a lot of people don't really care about the games, we won't do them anymore. It's fine. And not that we're like, oh, no comments.
Yeah.
But just we're genuinely curious. Do you guys like the game nights? Are they not really that big a deal? Are they boring? Give us your honest opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where some people might be coming from if that's the case, where it might be kind of boring to just sit and watch the two guys that are the host of the show basically just playing the game amongst ourselves.
Right.
I mean, that's not always the case. Obviously, we bring some people on when we can. We were hoping to have someone on for that game last week, but unfortunately, personal things that were more important right now kind of halted that. So we just decided to go ahead and do it that way. But
right.
But yeah, I totally understand if people feel that way, and let us know. It's just like we said, we always want feedback. We want the honest feedback. So you're not going to hurt our feelings either way. Just let us know.
Absolutely.
How's it going, Brandon?
Hey, good to see you.
Oh, okay. So going ahead and bouncing back real quick, he said that he could care less if someone chooses not to have the shot. He could care less if that person dies. Sounds like typical Gene diarrhea again.
Yeah, agreed. And you got to remember too, this is coming from somebody who in the past has more than once said, quit listening to your idols talk about their political opinions. Nothing they say has any bearing on anything you should or shouldn't think or do. So
yeah.
His thoughts are his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, don't take it too seriously, Ron. We all know Gene puts his foot in his mouth plenty of times. And again, it's like I was telling Luke when we were discussing the thing with Paul last night. It's like, okay, he is vaccinated, but yet he still got it, and I've been hearing stories of that with random, other people, and it starts to make you wonder now. For those of us that has gotten vaccinated, and it's like, okay, we're vaccinated, but yet people are still catching this thing. So,
right,
what exactly? It kind of makes you wonder what is going on. And now they're pushing for people to get a booster shot, and and obviously, I don't want to make this show all about this mess going on, and whatever political crap's involved. But that's the last thing we want to do with this. But
right. Yeah, everything I've read seems to point to the idea of the vaccine in its current state being helping with symptoms. It's not supposed to prevent you from catching it, I guess. And don't take this word for word. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but yeah, my interpretation anyway is that it doesn't prevent you from catching it. It helps you fight it off.
Yeah.
So yeah. So again, kind of like what we were saying earlier with Paul. Hopefully, the vaccination will help the symptoms not be so bad.
Yeah, that is true. It does seem like we were saying, it seems like people that get it, that test positive, that are vaccinated, it's almost more or less just like a flu now. Because I mean, Paul even said himself he's had flu-like symptoms the last few days, and
yeah,
and that's the weird thing too, is he tested negative multiple times, and then all of a sudden they did it again that day, and he's positive. So it's weird,
Yeah,
I feel like there's something there that we don't know, or they haven't explained enough about it. It's bothered him all day. Oop. Yeah, I mean, Ronnie, I understand, man. You have every right to be upset. I mean, it is a dickish thing to say. It's not right. I know it's hard to, it's kind of hard to hear things like that, especially from, someone that, a lot of us consider an idol, and, they mean so much to what, what we do and all that. So, yeah, I get it. It's hard to hear your idol say things like that about people, but then it makes you wonder, okay, is he talking about just like anyone in general if they get COVID? Because now it's like, okay, well, Paul has it and he is vaccinated, so now what do you have to say, Gene? It's like, here we go again.
Right. Honestly, I think it's the way he put it that's a bit bothersome, because it's just so blunt. You know what I mean? Honestly, I feel like that's really the only way that you can look at it. If you want to say everybody should have the choice to get it or not, then what comes with that is also, if the result of you not getting it means you died, then that was your choice, and he can't affect that. You know what I mean? So I hope what I said just made sense and wasn't just rambling. But yeah, I feel like the way he put it was just so blunt that it feels offensive.
Yeah, what I mean? Exactly. And it's really not the first time he said something along those lines, because I believe he even made a statement similar about people in like suicide at one time about, oh, if you're so down in the dumps or whatever, then go ahead and kill, something along that line. And that might even been the thing that got me banned or blocked on his Twitter account, because it might have been when he made that statement and it kind of ticked me off.
Right.
So I see where you're coming from, Ronnie, and I'm like, because I've known people that have committed suicide, and
right.
And all I did was like send a tweet asking if that was a true statement. That's it, and I get blocked for it. So
wow,
God forbid. But
yeah, totally understand that. I mean, I went on a big rant just in the last episode about how upset I was that Paul was quite so vocal about his beliefs in it, and that I was worried that it was going to leak its way into the Kiss shows like it did with the New Year's Eve thing. And I'm right in the same boat with you. It just upsets me to hear that one of my big idols doesn't feel the same way I do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. One, just a real quick story here, and then we'll move on, because again, I don't want to make this too much about all that. But I know a personal story recently. Some really good friends of mine, well, someone they know, the girl was pregnant, so obviously she couldn't get vaccinated because she was pregnant. Well, she ended up getting COVID. They had to deliver the baby early, which thankfully the baby's okay. Well, the girl died when she gave birth because she got COVID and could not get the shot because she was pregnant. So, I mean, what a double-edged, horrible situation, I mean,
absolutely.
Wow. So yeah, that's just the last thing I wanted to say about that. I don't want to bring the show down, but so let's get back on track here.
Yes, absolutely. So the polls, you guys that are watching probably know all about the polls, but if you happen to be new to the channel and you are watching this for the first time, please, if you wouldn't mind, jump over to Facebook and search Kiss Meets the Podcast. Of course, we have a page that you can like or follow or whatever Facebook's doing nowadays. You can also search Kiss Meets the Podcast group. That's a totally separate thing. We have a private group over on Facebook. You do have to request access to join, but we approve everybody. So don't let that stop you. Put it in, and as soon as we see it, we're going to accept. The reason we have a group is because recently, for some reason, Facebook stopped doing polls unless they're in groups. You can only post, like voting things, polls like that, if in a group. So, I mean, we would absolutely do this publicly, but for some reason, Facebook requires the group. So please go join our group, because we want as many people in there as possible to vote on these. One of our favorite things to do outside of YouTube is to host these giant Kiss song tournaments where we just see, out of curiosity, what comes out on top. We randomize a list of songs grouped one way or another to go up against each other. Again, it's completely random, so if you jump in there and see a match that doesn't make any sense to you at all, laugh it up. It was a random thing. we weren't worried about trying to put songs that made sense together, because then you're going to knock out a bunch of songs too. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, go join our group and vote on our polls. We post 6 every single week. Right now, we are just a little bit of the way into round 1 of a brand new tournament, including, I think, 406 Kiss songs. I say this every week, but I forget the exact details. Anyway, we did a studio version only tournament a little while ago, which Creatures of the Night won. We did a live version only tournament that just concluded a couple of months ago, and Black Diamond from Alive won that. So this time, not only did we combine studio and live, but we also included different versions of all the songs. So if a song appeared on a greatest hits album or compilation and it was messed with in any way, edited or remixed, we included that version of it in there too. So definitely pay attention when you're looking at these polls to what version of the song it is. That is also important to this. It's not, if you see Shout It Out Loud, it's not just Shout It Out Loud. It's in that particular match. There's going to be an album title next to it, and it's that version. So don't be afraid to jump over to YouTube. All of this stuff is on YouTube. Jump over to YouTube, and if you're unfamiliar with that particular version, take a listen to it, and make your guess based on that. We did have a weird sort of thing with last week's polls where there was a misunderstanding based on that. The different versions of the songs and whether or not that means anything. Just to absolutely clear up any confusion, there will be absolutely no argument on this. I created these, and so I get final say. Sorry if that makes you mad. Vote for whatever you want. And if you see anybody say anything in the comments, even if it's one of us two, saying you should vote on this song or you should vote on that song, do not let that mess with your vote. Vote for whatever you think is the best, even if the whole comment section is trashing the one you like. Don't let it mess with your opinion. Just vote on what you want.
Absolutely. We never once said, do not vote on this song, vote for that one. We were just giving our opinions of why we dislike that version. We did it when we did that whole album. We do it all the time with other topics. It's more of a tongue-in-cheek type thing is all we were doing on the comments. If you take them too seriously, I'm sorry, but you should know it's better than that. That's really all it is. Yeah, we feel the way we feel about that song, but we weren't that, in much of an uproar about it like we were in the comments and everything. It was more of a tongue-in-cheek type deal, like we do from time to time.
Absolutely. So definitely go over there and check those out. Put some stuff in the comments. Why do you like certain versions? Guys, this is the best thing about music. I see arguments all the time based on this stuff, and music is so awesome because it hits each one of us differently. We all feel differently about different things. Some people love one thing that another person hates. The album that we're reviewing today is a perfect example of that. How many Kiss fans, maybe even you guys watching this right now, have completely ignored the Soul Station album because it's not your thing? And that's okay. You don't have to like it because it's Paul Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So everything's going to hit everybody differently, and that's what we like to hear. So positive comments, and that goes for us too. Positive comments on these. We're all one big Kiss-loving family. If there's going to be a bunch of drama, and make no mistake, what happened with the last week's polls wasn't this big, huge thing. I hope it doesn't come across like that's what it is. It means nothing. It really does. But if we ever got real serious drama going on in our comments, these polls are just going to stop. It's simple as that. We don't have to do this. So let us know what your favorite song is and why, and everybody else, appreciate that. Appreciate that music hits people differently, and there's always something for everyone.
I think it caught us off guard, but nothing really more than that. And, the same thing goes like the Gene Simmons asshole album. I've been, again, having my comments about that since probably the start of the whole podcast. But again, if the day came that we decided, hey, let's do a review, I'll listen to it. I never said that I wouldn't. It's just, again, I have that feeling about that. Everyone has feelings about whether it's Peter Criss album, Live to Win, whatever, Everybody's got something to say. So, and
right.
And again, I feel like a broken record, but we've said it a million times. If everyone voted the same way and had the same opinions, what's the point of doing this?
Very true. In case anybody wasn't aware, I am a huge drama queen, and I click off this every time something makes me mad. That's totally what this is. All right, so let's talk results for last week's polls, which is going to result in both of us quitting the podcast if you take everything we say word for word.
Yeah.
The 6 we posted last week, the results are in. So here's what we posted in the results. We posted No 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 from Crazy Nights versus War Machine from Creatures of the Night. And boy, was that a tough one for me, because No 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 is an okay song, just my personal opinion. But oh man, that guitar solo from Bruce at the beginning is so ripping.
Yes.
But I just couldn't justify letting that go over top War Machine. And apparently everybody else felt the same way too. So War Machine takes that with 92%.
Wow.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see 2 votes for No No No, but I wasn't even one of those votes. So, you know what I mean? Like, 92%. Most of this week's matches were actually a complete sweep. So very strong opinions here. Speaking of that, the next one was I'm Gonna Love You from Peter Chris' solo album versus Deuce from Alive. Deuce with 100%. I'm Gonna Love You got no votes at all, which, I mean, oh, wow. The next one, Wall of Sound from Monster versus I Love It Loud from Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. I Love It Loud takes it with 63% of the vote. Still a pretty hefty margin there. I Love It Loud is just a good enough song that either you like the remix just fine, or the fact that the remix is a little weird doesn't bother you, I guess.
Yeah. Or I guess if you just look at it in the true sense of the song versus the sound of the song, I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely see it both ways. But...
Yep. So I Love It Loud, on to the next round. Next, we had Eat Your Heart Out from Monster versus Mr. Blackwell from The Elder. Mr. Blackwell takes this one, 96%. So another pretty big sweep there, which we're seeing a trend pretty much anytime we put a Monster song in here. It gets destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be curious to see if any Monster song makes it to the next round. Turn on the Night from Crazy Nights versus Any Way You Slice It from Asylum. Turn on the Night takes it with 65%. And finally, from last week, God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2 from Revenge versus Psycho Circus from Psycho Circus. Psycho Circus takes it with 65% again.
Wow.
That was too many Psycho Circuses in one breath.
I thought that was going to be a lot closer.
Agreed, yeah. I saw recently, I think Bruce Kulick on his Facebook page shared God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I think it was some anniversary of the Bill and Ted, either the movie or the soundtrack or something. And there was a lot of hate in the comments for God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I had never seen that before. I just thought that was a fairly well-liked song by the fan base.
Yeah, I always enjoyed it.
Yeah. Another weird little interesting tidbit from that particular post, somebody asked Bruce, did you have any correspondence with Steve Vai? In case anybody wasn't familiar, the soundtrack version of God Gave Rock and Roll to You starts with a Steve Vai guitar solo rather than the album intro. We should have included that in the poll. I didn't even think about that. That version's not on there. And Bruce responded to that comment saying that he didn't have any correspondence with Steve at the time, but however, they do email back and forth now, just talk about life and music and stuff. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit.
Yeah, it is. And of course, Steve Vai did the Reaper guitar playing, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
Weird thing. speaking of Psycho Circus, I noticed that now on this part of the tour, they now do the drum solo in the middle of Psycho Circus, and then at the end of the drum solo, it goes into kind of the part of 100,000 Years, the typical, do you feel all right, all that stuff, and then they go ahead and end 100,000 Years after that. So kind of weird that they do it that way now, but I was also like, what? That's kind of cool though. It kind of works.
I'm glad they changed something up, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect to hear that at all.
Yeah, I was like, drum solo during Psycho Circus? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We've got in the comments here, Brandon, not a fan of God Gave Rock and Roll. That's it. Yeah, I mean that fits right into what we're doing. If you don't mind typing up, I'm curious. Is it just the song in general doesn't hit you right, or is there something specific you don't like about it? Really curious.
Yeah, I mean, from the first time I heard it in the movie, I loved it. I mean, I think a lot of it, at first was that whole like, oh, new Kiss song, brand new Kiss song, and then of course it ended up being on Revenge. But little did I know until later years that it's actually kind of a different version, different mix and everything.
Right. Yeah, I had trouble with that particular matchup again too, because I really like the song "Psycho Circus."
Yeah.
I think I ended up going with God Gave Rock and Roll to You just because I liked a lot of the element, the Gene and Paul back and forth, the Bruce's double guitar solo is really cool. Obviously, the Eric Carr vocal in the clean section is neat, but
to me, Psycho Circus is just about up there with Detroit Rock City when it comes to an album opener, especially.
Oh, absolutely agreed.
And the way that studio version sounds and hits, and I mean, yeah, to me, I still get kind of goosebumps when I hear that as much as I would, Detroit Rock City or, Deuce or whatever.
Yeah. Brandon, just kind of boring. Yeah. Yeah. I totally appreciate you typing that in there because, again, I mean, it goes right along with what we were just talking about. There's always something for everybody. And as long as you can be nice about any sort of negative that you have about something, it's really interesting to see. Because it's almost like a study of music in general. What makes different people tick? You know what I mean?
I'm curious too, Brandon. Have you heard the original version by Argent? And are you also, if you have, are you also not a fan of that as well? Or, I mean, I'm like that with that "Turn the Page" song. The Bob Seger or Metallica. I'm just not a fan of that song either way. And honestly, I kind of feel the same way as what Brandon said about this one. Is to me, it's just a very boring feeling song.
Right.
But again, that's me. I've heard people that love Turn the Page.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of any of the covers that Disturbed has ever done that everybody fawns over all the time. I wasn't a big fan of their version of Land of Confusion. Was especially not a fan of their version of Sound of Silence. But that's very against popular opinion.
Yeah, Five Finger Death Punch. I personally can't stand them. So I'm totally not a fan of them doing Bad Company, but again, I've heard people that like it. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and shoot insults at people online or something because they like something that you don't.
Right. You should definitely check out the original, Brandon. It's different. That's why this one's God Gave Rock and Roll to You too. It's not them just doing a version. They rewrote most of it, honestly. So it's worth just out of curiosity. But if memory serves, the chorus is still there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's mainly the chorus, but most of the vocals are pretty much completely different. And then, God, it's been a while since I've listened to the original too, but I believe the arrangement, like even the intro and stuff, is a bit different too.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Chicken, yeah, good to see that too. So Chicken says rock and roll is his favorite song over, or God Gave Rock and Roll to You. And then he also says, yeah, the version of Sound of Silence wasn't my favorite either. Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, I am, and I've said this a bunch of times on the show, I am a sucker for a good harmony. And that's one of to me, the core elements of the song Sound of Silence is the harmony between those two guys. Disturbed just didn't do it,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but Disturbed is the last band I would think of to ever attempt to have a harmony. Like, I wouldn't think of that band as oh yeah, these guys are going to do a good harmony. They're just not. They never were that kind of band. I mean,
Right.
now, say a band like Stained or somebody does it, yeah, I would expect it to sound pretty good because Aaron Lewis has a good voice, and whatever, you can probably name 10, 20 other bands that would probably do a better version of it. But
At least it worked for them.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so what you can go vote on right now, you've just heard the results from last week's. We've just posted 6 brand new matches maybe 2 hours ago. You can go vote on them right now. The 6 that you can vote, there's some good ones this week. Definitely want to see what you guys have to say. We've got What's on Your Mind from Ace's solo album versus You Matter to Me from Peter's album. We've got Heaven's on Fire from Sonic Boom Disc 2. So again, not the studio version, specifically the Jigoku Retsuden Kiss Classics Sonic Boom bonus disc version of Heaven's on Fire. Versus Beth from Destroyer, and that is just the regular straight-up studio track. Tunnel of Love from Gene's solo album versus Domino from Revenge. The Star Spangled Banner from Alive 3 versus Tough Love from Revenge. Betrayed from Hot in the Shade versus Burning Up with Fever from Gene's solo album. And finally, I Love It Loud from Creatures of the Night versus A World Without Heroes from MTV Unplugged. Oh man, I screwed that up. I totally put the studio version. Okay, so scratch that. I Love It Loud from Creatures of the Night versus A World Without Heroes from The Elder. I'm going to have to change that real quick because I typed that wrong. Whoops. Okay, let me find World Without Heroes from the studio version so I can switch that. Oh man, there's so many songs in round 1. I am never going to find this.
I'll tell you, studio or unplugged version, that makes that a hard match either way.
Yeah.
With I Love It Loud, that's tough.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to see if I can just do a text search. I am never going to find this. Dang it, I need to pay more attention.
I will say I did not pick the Ace song in the first match.
There it is. I think I did in that particular one. Oh, okay, so the studio version originally was going to be up against The Devil Is Me from Monster, so now we're going to switch that over to the unplugged version. Okay, so like we always say, the polls are completely randomly generated, except for when I screw it up like that, and we have to change it. So, okay, yeah. So that's our polls for this week. One more time, in case you guys aren't tired of hearing it yet, please go check out Kiss Meets the Podcast group on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, make one. It's worth it just for this group. Don't look at anything else. Facebook sucks, but check out this group and vote on our Kiss song matches. We want to hear from you. And even more so, we want to hear in the comments why you like the song. Why do you like the song you picked? Check it out.
Absolutely. So unfortunately for the album review for this week, we do not have a Wikipedia page with information on this album. So really all we have to go by is the information provided in the jacket.
Yeah.
So obviously Paul, and then of course Eric Singer on drums is of course the two notable members of this group. What do you have? It's about 11-piece band in total. So you also have Allison Droney, who is the musical director / keyboards. Sean Hurley on bass. Rafael Moriera on guitars and backing vocals.
Which, side note, that's the dude that played guitar for Paul on the One Live Kiss DVD.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool. I was wondering if any of these people on here had any other notable credits.
Yeah.
Then we have Ray. I'm probably going to butcher this. Yilis on percussion. Ellie Rise on keyboards. John Pappenbrook on lead trumpet. Then we have Crystal Starr, Lorhan Beato, and Gavin Roan all on vocals. And then we have the Soul Station horn section, which is Mike Nelson on sax, Ben Burgett on sax, and Ed Wynn also on sax. And then finally, the Soul Station string sisters, Natalie Leggett, Songa Lee, Kathleen Sloan, all on violin. And then finally, Giovanna Clayton on cello. And if anyone is curious, there's kind of the headshots for everybody there. Get Luke back in here. There we go. So again, kind of everybody's headshots for those that may not have seen them, curious. Of course, most of the album is cover songs of classic staple Motown soul, but there are 5 original songs on here, written, arranged, and orchestrated by Paul. And then one song, whenever you're ready, I'm here, is a duet with Crystal Starr, which again, I'm not familiar with her name. I'm not sure what other credits she may have. Interested to know. We do have just a little slip here with a cool live shot of Paul. All these live shots were done by Keith LaRue.
Nice.
And of course, Doc McGee is the management. It says the album was produced by Paul Stanley, co-produced, recorded, and mixed by Greg Collins. Additional engineering by David Sprenick, assistant engineer Steve Ullman. Recorded at Dave's Room and the Nook Studio. Mastered by Ian Selfchick at Capitol Mastering Studios. So yeah, that's pretty much the ins and outs there. You got a very, very, very like sentence or two thanks from Paul there. Basically just thanking the family and friends and all that. So yeah, let's get into this then.
Nice. Oh, hey, I just looked in our group, and Brandon Story has requested access. So
very cool.
You're in, man.
We'll get you in there, yeah.
Yep.
And
much
please,
appreciated.
Yeah, spread the word to any of your other Kiss fans, please, or friends. I'm sorry. All right. Is there any other stuff you found out about the album before we get into it that you want to mention?
Nope, that was pretty much it.
All right. Well, let's get it going then. So, starting off the album, we have Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, which originally was done by the Spinners. This one came in at number 7. Great start to the album. Totally sets the mood and the feel of that whole soul Motown thing, which I love in general anyway, because I love all of the original versions of these songs that he covers. So very cool to hear these different arrangements and takes, but also very impressed with how close to the real thing a lot of these are. They're not too far off. Very, very well done, I gotta say. So especially got to hand it to the I forget the name now, the guy who was the music conductor, musical director, Allison Drami. I got to hand it to him for getting these songs put together like that. So very good opener, and just a fantastic classic from the Spinners and one of their many hits.
Nice. Yeah, actually, for me, all of this was completely brand new. I had no idea going in which ones were covers and originals. I'm not familiar with any of the original versions that these were covered from. So, yeah, this was nice, brand new for me every bit. This first one was actually my number 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really like this song. I know we've said it before, but it bears repeating that the production on this album is just top notch.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I notice every time we do an album review as soon as a song starts. And I remember when they put out, I think it was Ooh Ooh Child, at first, and I remember us texting back and forth and saying the same thing. I listened to that song on my phone speaker and was like, "Wow, this sounds really good." So yeah, this is one of the best drum tones Eric Singer has gotten on a record that had Paul also involved. The bass is really clearly audible. The brass and the strings are super smooth. There's a lot of auto-tune on Paul's voice, but it's not like ridiculously noticeable like Sonic Boom, for example. It's not like ruining. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Totally.
And yeah, just the song, the groove was immediately catchy. This is a pretty strong opening track, catchy horn sections, cool harmonies. I found myself just immediately hoping, man, I hope the whole rest of the album is just like this one.
Totally. All right, so next up we have I Do. This is one of the originals by Paul here. Gave this one number 9. This is another ballad type, which we know Live to Win ended up being kind of heavy on the ballads, but this totally fits in more on this album, I feel. But I really felt that the whole style of this song was right there with the first song. Like it felt like like it could have been another Spinners song. Like you could tell, I think Paul was definitely writing it in the vein of the Spinners too. So it was cool to, that it followed up the cover, and then you hear basically Paul's take on how he would write a, brand new Spinner song, so to speak. And, yeah, it was really enjoyable. So I'm just gonna say right now, I mean, this album truly was kind of hard to rank for me. So don't get it wrong. Even though a song like this is number 9, I still did truly enjoy it. I mean, it's just so hard with so many good covers and everything else on here to really rank these where it felt fair.
Right. Yeah, I was just telling Eli before we got on here, I Do was the only one that I remembered. I think I read an interview with Paul where he mentioned this song specifically was an original. And other than that, just because I knew that one, I honestly, I still don't know which ones are covers and originals. I'm hearing this from Eli, same as a lot of you guys too. And I think what you just said about his originals flowing and mixing in with the covers, honestly, for me, that goes for the whole thing. I couldn't pick out which ones are originals. Honest to God, right now, if you put a gun to my head and said, which ones do you think? I have no idea. I have no idea. I think he was absolutely captured the feel of the Motown and the soul and the R&B perfectly enough that it just flows from song to song.
Yeah, I found myself like hearing, okay, this reminds me of this artist that he didn't do a cover of, or like in this case, it still felt like that Spinners vein, but every other original I felt he goes different, and it's almost like, okay, and I loved it. I'm like, this is really good stuff,
Right. So yeah, I Do ended up being 12 for me. It just didn't catch me like the opener did. Just the way I like track listings to sit, I would have preferred something a little bit more upbeat, this close to the beginning, personally. The mix and the groove, still right on point. Not a bad song, not even a little bit, but just as a song, I liked the first one a lot better.
Mm-hmm. All right, next is IOI. This is another original. This one came out at number 11 for me. So again, we got another ballad here, but this time, the way Paul was singing it, I was very reminded of the late great Al Jarreau, the way Paul's vocal style was on this song. So if anyone out there is saying who's Al Jarreau, please look him up. Listen, to a couple of his more known songs. You might feel the same way. But it felt like his delivery and the notes he was hitting, it was just really put me like I was picturing Al Jarreau singing it, but yet it's Paul Stanley's voice. It's so weird but cool at the same time how that was happening with these songs. I just got to keep saying, kudos to Paul and the whole band.
Right. I put this one at number 4. As soon as it came on, I was, digging the groove of this one. I appreciate the upbeat song. Um, Kind of following up on what I just said about I Do, I kind of wish this one had been the second track. Just give us a little bit more energy before bringing the mood down. But yeah, I liked IOI a lot.
So yeah, two of the five originals down already. So now we go back in. We've got a plethora of covers here before we get back into another original. So next up is Ooh Baby Baby, which was of course originally Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Number one for me. Um, I tell you, I mean, I love this song to death. You know, the original version even, and so I just, and I'll admit when I first heard this version come out, because Paul had done one of those videos when they were all still in quarantine, where it was all the members live on Zoom singing together, and they were doing this song, and I was kind of, I'll admit I was a little interested or worried, like, okay, how's this going to sound? Because Smokey Robinson, man, I'll tell you what, it blew me away. It, you know, like even before I listened to the album today and have heard this version before, for some reason I always have the one line, I've made mistakes, but you've made mistakes too. Like, I don't know why, but that line is always stuck in my head, and it'll just randomly go through my head throughout the day. It's just one of my favorite lines in the song. And but yeah, I mean, Paul and the rest of the vocal gang on here just knock it out of the park. Just it's got that same kind of feel that the Smokey Robinson version does to you, where you're just kind of like, oh man, that's bad, like in a good way, like, oh, it just really catches you by the soul, really. It's that kind of thing, like that kind of feeling. So yeah, I mean, had to give this number one. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the original version on top of this, so I can easily listen to both versions whenever, and neither one is going to disappoint me.
Nice. Yes, number 6 for me on this one. Boy, do I like a good a cappella vocal harmony starting out a song. Anybody that is familiar with our work as musicians ought to know that.
Oh yeah.
In addition to being a sucker for a good harmony, having an interesting a cappella vocal harmony starting out a song is something I feel it's kind of underdone, probably because it's too easy to do it really badly. This was right on point, and the vocals in the song continued to catch me, just creating interesting chords with the vocal harmonies, which is something that happened a lot throughout this album, but this was the first time on the album that's what caught me about the song, was the chords that the vocal harmonies were creating, and it gave it that special edge beyond what the instruments were doing already. And being the sucker for a good harmony, of course, that's gonna that's gonna drive it up the list.
Oh yeah. I want to listen to this song again. It's stuck in my head still. I'm singing it in my head as we're talking.
Right.
So we move into Ooh Child by the Five Stair Steps originally. Number 2 here. Again, this was one of the first and only tracks that I had heard from the album prior to listening. And again, pretty much the same thing goes for what I just said on the last song. I love the original. I know it's been done by other people, but the five stair step version is the most known version. And the whole song in general is such a great mood lifter. If you're not already in a good mood when you hear this song, it's hard to not put you in a good mood if you're not. And it's just one of them songs that just makes you feel good, and just all the harmonies to it, and the la 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 la, all that kind of stuff. It just really grabs you. And so again, I love this version that Paul and the gang did, pretty much just as much as I love the Ooh Baby Baby, and same with the originals. I love both just as equally, and just a fantastic classic song.
Absolutely. It looks like Brandon and Ronnie both agree there too. Absolutely. This is the
Absolutely.
one they put out a music video for too. Was this the first single?
I believe it was, yes.
Nice. And Chicken too. Agreed. Yeah, that was a smart move. If this was the first single, and obviously a lot of people are gonna check out the music video, this was a good choice.
I'm interested. I'm gonna look while you're talking. Ronnie says the version that's in the movie over there. I'm gonna look and see if that's the same one or if that's by a different group.
Nice. Yeah, number 5 for me on this one, and yeah, it feels so similar to the opening track as far as the feel good. It's got a great groove, great feel, and I noted just a cool feel good track, and I like that you guys have pretty much said that same thing. Uh, Chicken in Translation says party song. Yeah, absolutely. This is a mood lifter right here. And Sean Hurley, the guy that's playing bass, man, this album is his album to me. I mean, obviously the vocals are a really important part of every song, but oh, I'm a huge fan of the rock band Toto, and most of the reason I love Toto is because of the groove in the songs. I really love just having that groove, and that's, man, this album is full of that, and it is 100% Sean Hurley's fault. What he puts and where he puts it over what Eric Singer is drumming, absolutely spot on.
So I was looking at the Over the Edge soundtrack. It looks like Valerie Carter is the one that does a version of Ooh Child on there. I'm definitely got to check that out. I have not heard that.
Yes.
Definitely interested to hear that. She was a backup vocalist, best known for working with James Taylor and Jackson Browne. Very cool. Yeah, Ooh Child's in Boys in the Hood. I'm actually going to be watching that movie fairly soon. I've got it set out. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Awesome. All right. So we're at so now we're back to another original here. Save Me From You. This one came in at number 14, which I believe was dead last, unfortunately. This was the one that I kind of did get a tad bit bored with. But again, like I always say, especially with the Kiss stuff, I don't hate the song. I don't dislike it. It's just that in this particular listen, again, it was my first listen again. Like I said with Live to Win, which I still need to go back and revisit. If I listen to this again, maybe it's going to grow even more. But I will say that I could totally listen to this song. This whole album is very listenable, so I would not skip this song. Just to clarify anything, so, but it did unfortunately come in last place this time. So, Chicken
Love
Loves
Africa. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. They have so many good ones.
Yeah, Luke's kind of Toto fan that I honestly don't know more than maybe a handful of songs, but he knows so much stuff that I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And, well, Africa was the entry point, like it would be probably for most fans.
Yeah,
I think I was bored one day years ago and thought, I wonder if that band that does Africa has any other really good songs. I had heard Rosanna, but wasn't familiar specifically with that it was Toto. And I think I watched a live concert of theirs that was just from a random tour, one of the DVDs they put out that had, the hits, but it also had a bunch of just random stuff. And I loved the whole thing from start to finish. So yeah, they're one of those bands that they have a lot of hidden gems in addition to their hits.
Yeah. I always enjoyed the Africa video when I was a kid. When it would come on MTV, I always thought it was interesting even then. So, and of course, a bit of a tie-in with Kiss, because Steve Lukather has obviously done a lot of work with Kiss and the members. So there you go.
Yep. Mike Porcaro, the long-standing bassist of Toto, is the one who played the bass on the studio version of Creatures of the Night. So I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. Save Me From You came in 10 for me. Yeah, I gotta agree. This was an interesting song and one that I couldn't find anything specifically wrong with, but it just didn't hit me right. It didn't hit me like some of the other ones. So yeah, it's interesting to hear again that that's an original.
Yeah.
And I also ranked that one pretty low. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say that's got to be the only original that I really wasn't getting a vibe of. This sounds like so and so, or again, not bad, but just wasn't getting the vibe this time.
Oh yeah, Chicken's got it right there. Absolutely. The Wrecking Crew, but in
Oh
a
yeah,
in a band form. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, you were talking a lot about the bass. Well, a lot of these bass lines, I think, have been played by what's her name? I'm forgetting her name now. She was a part of that.
The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh man, I can
she
picture her.
she was giving Gene bass lessons in that one video.
Yes.
Ah,
Definitely looking that up. Carol Kay.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you browse through her credits, there a lot of these covers on here are probably her bass lines. Would not doubt it.
Absolutely.
All right, so jumping back into some covers. Well, at least one cover here. Just My Imagination, Running Away with Me, originally done by The Temptations. Number 5 for me. Um, yeah, again, I'm a big fan of the Temptation stuff. One of the greatest vocal groups ever. Um, yeah, this is probably in my top 5 Temptation songs. Definitely not my favorite Temptation song, but just an absolute classic, no denying. And again, you know, Paul and them just do a fantastic job translating this song. Um, especially doing some Temptations Ain't Easy. I mean, that was, what, 4 or 5 piece vocal harmonies there, and they just, they make it sound so easy. and
Yeah.
um, yeah, dare I say that this sounds better than the version of the Temptations that we have today that still tours.
Yeah. This one came in dead last for me. This was my number 14. This was around the point in the album where I was having a little bit of difficulty picking out special stuff. You know what I mean? This it started to run together just a little bit here in the middle, and with this one particularly, I was finding myself wishing for another bit more upbeat, feel good one. Um, and then all the orchestra stuff in the background was just hitting me kind of like it ought to be a Disney song almost. It felt like one of the early, like Snow White, Cinderella esque Disney stuff. But then as I started paying more attention to the lyrics, I realized, okay, well, thematically it makes sense with the lyrical content for it to be this kind of floaty, euphoric type thing. Imagination running away with me. It made a lot of sense. But yeah, still just again, I wouldn't in 100 years call this a bad song. Just didn't catch me as well as any of the others.
Right, absolutely. All right, next up we have another original song. This is Whenever You're Ready, I'm Here. This is the one where he's doing the duet with Crystal Star. And this came in at number 8. And again, this was a cool duet. It, again, was putting me in the mind of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Tyrell when some of their classics, like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, all that kind of stuff. It was definitely putting me in that mindset listening to this. Very, very beautiful voice there on her, and her and Paul definitely meshed well together. And I'll just say it again, and I'll probably say it again at the end. But the more I hear of this, it's just like I wish somehow, some way that he would do like a mini tour or something with this group, because it would just seem criminal if they don't. I mean, it's just so great.
Agreed. That just made me think of something I meant to put in my overall but didn't. You know what would be amazing is if not only they went and did some shows with this, like a little tour, but man, if they had Peter get up on stage and do a couple from his solo album in '78, I think that would just fit perfect. I'd love to hear this band's renditions of that. It'd be neat to see Peter on stage with Paul.
Oh, oh my God, that just blew my mind.
If we were still doing True Confessions, that would have been.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Chicken. I gotta admit, the Cocteau Twins. That's one group I know the name, but I've never really gotten into any of their music. I don't know if I've heard much of it. point me in the right direction, please. We're always open to discover things that are new to us.
Absolutely. Whenever you're ready, ended up being 7 for me, and it was like they heard me say, "I wish there was a more upbeat one." Yeah, I was like, "Oh man, got my wish, cool." I really liked a lot of the unexpected chord changes in this track. It didn't ever seem to go where I was expecting it to musically, and I appreciated that. And then yeah, having the female voice take lead for a second was not that I found anything wrong with Paul's voice, but it was a nice change up. The duet, like you said, their voices work together really well. So yeah, definitely appreciated this one.
Totally. All right, next we have another one originally by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Tracks of My Tears. Number 6 here. Again, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any Smokey and the Miracles. I mean, another great classic song by them. Another one that I love the original. Kind of wish they would have done Tears of a Clown too. Now that I've heard a couple Smokey songs, but I don't know. Maybe if they do another album, they could do that. Yeah, just totally great. Another song here. It's just love it. Both versions.
Nice. Yep, number 9 for me. This one didn't have a huge amount that caught me, but I did like the song starting with a little guitar riff. Starting to feel like there wasn't really a huge amount of guitar doing anything fancy throughout the album so far. So it was nice to hear that brought to the front, even just for a little bit. And then I didn't know this at the time of listening, but very glad that kind of became a thing for the rest of the album, the guitar doing some stuff.
Oh, yeah. All right. Next up we have Let's Stay Together, which originally by the legendary Al Green. Number 4, I think Paul sounds especially great on this song. Some of them high notes he's hitting are just nice and clear. It doesn't sound like he was pushing it too hard. It kind of caught me off guard, to be surprised, because I hate to sound like we're always doubting Paul, but you just kind of wonder. And I tell you, he just continues to amaze me with this album and this song especially, and he just nails it. Nails the vocals on this. Amazing.
Yeah. I think it helped him a lot that he didn't have to push real hard like he would with Kiss. He was able to just kind of take it easy and really sing. Especially, there's a lot of falsetto voice on this album, and he has clearly worked that a lot too, stretched that muscle, because again, he didn't have to push it and really sing those notes. He could hit it with falsetto and it still sounded awesome. Let's Stay Together for me, however, did end up number 13. This for me was kind of the low point as far as feeling like the tracks were starting to run together. This one, and I hadn't heard any track yet that I thought was bad, and agreed that even this one, not a single really bad track on the album at all, but this was the point for me that I couldn't really find anything that was sticking out, and I was starting to get a little bit bored.
Mm-hmm. All right, next we have La La Means I Love You, originally by the Delphonics. Came in at number 13 for me. Honestly, it's a good song, but even the original here, I was never a big fan of the original even, so kind of went in, with that same train of thought with this version. But again, I mean, doesn't mean they didn't pull it off. I'll definitely always point that out. So even though this song doesn't do much for me, it's still sounding good, and they definitely pulled it off well.
Nice. Did you see Chicken gave you a couple of albums to check out there? Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will definitely look into those. Shoegazing, okay.
Nice. Right on. Number 3, believe it or not, La La Means I Love You. I really dig the groove of that one. I It's the dumbest title on the whole CD. I saw that. I'm like, what? Come on. But again, we're hearing really cool chords made with the vocal harmonies. The key change in the middle caught me completely by surprise for the orchestra kind of like solo piece. That was really neat. And I was really glad to have this one here. It pushed it really high up on my list just because it broke that monotony. I was starting to worry that the fact that I don't often listen to this style of music was kind of wearing on my ability to appreciate this for what it was. But no, this one broke me right out. I really liked it.
Very cool. All right, next we have Laura Lay, which is the fifth and final original song here. This came in at number 3. I was very, very impressed with this, and I found myself doing, like, I was searching all over Google and everything. I was really curious. I don't know why, but I'm just so curious, like, who or what this song is about. At first, I got to thinking, oh, it's probably to his wife, and I'm like, duh, his wife's name's Erin, not Roy Lee. So, and none of his kids' name are named that. So, it's really kind of a mystery. I'm like, who is this song about, or what's it for? And I did enjoy it. It was a nice breath of fresh air as far as the original stuff. It was definitely a little more upbeat, more definitely felt like it can compete with a lot of these classics on here. I mean, I hope that maybe we get a video for this song too if we haven't already. As far as I know, we don't, but
right.
Hopefully we do get one. If not.
Agreed. I got a real weird thing about this song. I got to tell you, and it's funny to hear that it's an original because I wondered. Number 8 for me, first off. Thinking about this in terms of the core of the song, like just say Paul Stanley grabs an acoustic guitar and plays this song, just singing it and playing the acoustic guitar. I feel like, based on the way the song goes and how prominent the acoustic guitars are in the mix, it almost makes me feel like this is a song Paul could have brought to Kiss at one point. It strikes me a bit like Nothing Can Keep Me From You. It strikes me a bit like I Finally Found My Way. Now, having said that, by the end of the song, there is nothing that makes this feel like a Kiss song out of place or anything.
Right.
Having this be Soul Station and the members of Soul Station, it flows right along with the rest of the album. So it's nothing like that. As a disclaimer, I don't feel like this is a Kiss song on a Soul Station album, but it struck me like that. Like, oh man, I almost feel like Kiss could have taken the core of this song and done something kind of like Nothing Can Keep Me From You or I Finally Found My Way, and it would have been that one weird song on that one album, but it still would have made sense. It's a kind of a neat cross connection, I guess.
Chicken, interested to hear what Dionne Warwick covers you think they should have done. That's definitely an interesting take there. And maybe it would have been cool to let one of the female vocalists have the lead on it too, which would have been a nice little turn for the album.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 more tracks here, and of course they're both covers. So we have You Are Everything, which originally was done by the Stylistics. This came in at number 10. I'll be honest, I was not familiar with this song, the original version or any of it. Stylistics do have some great classics, but this was one that I did not know. But Paul again nails some great high notes on here, so I'm definitely gonna have to visit the original version and kind of compare the two. But yeah, very, very well done again with Paul here. Coming to the end of the album.
Yeah, this one ended up being my number 2. The verse melody and the chord changes were really neat in this one. And that had already piqued my interest. Walk On By? Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Good choice.
So, I was already piqued and interested in this song. And then there was a guitar solo. There was an actual God's honest guitar solo. And it wasn't even just like a little, here's a little guitar thing. Like, there was actually some stuff in there, and it was really neat. And I had already been planning my overall at this point, and I had nitpicked that there weren't any guitar solos. And I just deleted that right out of there. I was like, "Oh, cool. This is exactly what this needed for my personal sensibility." So that popped the song way up. Already a cool song, and then a good guitar solo in there as well.
Nice. So coming to the end here, we have a great classic here, "Baby I Need Your Lovin'," originally by the Four Tops. Um, again, um, this album being hard to rank and being fair enough, this unfortunately had to go number 12, even though, again, love the song, love the original. Maybe I like the original a little better than this version. This might be the only case where I don't like them pretty much equally. Maybe that's why I ranked it at 12, but still, I mean, it was just so hard to try to squeeze it in with so many of the other versions on here that I love. So, and I feel like even though it's number 12, that's still not a bad ranking. I mean, it's very well played out, and yeah, I think this maybe should have even been in a different spot on the album instead of closing the album. To me, it's a bigger song, bigger hit that I feel like it maybe should have been, at least like midway through or something instead of closing the album. But definitely a great way to take it out. I mean, you open the album, with the Spinners, and then you close it with the Four Tops. I mean, that right there is like two of the pillars of the whole, Motown and soul sound of that day. So there you go.
Nice. Yep, 11 for me. Yeah, I gotta say, I didn't really look to see what I feel would have preferred for an album closer, but yeah, yeah, maybe not at the end. They got the singable chorus at least
Oh
for
yeah,
the end, which is neat. So I could see this closing the shows, and if they, did some audience participation, that'd be really neat. Um, yeah, I'm just not sure it really fit my personal criteria for like awesome album closer, but as per usual with this album, still a really good song.
definitely, 100%. All right, so we come to a close there with the album. By the way, while we still have a few minutes, if anyone in the chat there, if you guys have heard the album, or please send your rankings in too. We'll get those added in real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking at the scores as they stand with just me and you, Eli, there's a lot of very close. It would be super easy to completely upset the placing with even one more person. So yeah, jump in there, guys, if you want to.
All right, so as far as an overall thing, I give this one a 7. Again, I love the album. I love the concept from the beginning when I first heard about this because always knew that Paul grew up with a lot of this kind of music, um, and then when I saw the track list of some of the stuff he was going to do, I was really excited to hear how it was going to sound because again, I've been a fan of these original versions so long because I basically grew up with that stuff too. My mom was always mostly listening to the oldie stuff, and it grew on me, stuck with me. I still listen to a lot of it to this day. Um, just it just does something to you, it makes you feel good, and I was very very pleased with this album. It's I know I've said it 100 times, but the way they've translated these songs was fantastic. All sounded great on everything. The rest of the band knocks it out. Um, I remember saying a long time ago that one thing I like too with Eric in the band is we finally get to hear him playing some different type of drums. Um, it's not just the hard rock Kiss stuff or other bands that he's been in the past. We're finally hearing him on an album playing some different type of material, and again, he nails it. Just it sounds just as good. And like I said, it would be criminal if this band doesn't go on a tour at some point. I so badly would love to see that. It doesn't have to be huge venues. I think they can easily do, venues like the Rose that's around here and some of the smaller kind of outdoor things. I think that would be perfect for a group like the Soul Station or whatever. But yeah, I totally hope that maybe they'll do a volume 2 at some point, or maybe we'll get an album that's all originals this time. Who knows? But I know there's plenty of other classics that I'm sure they could cover, which I would love to hear. Like Chicken mentioned, some Dionne Warwick, and I can think of other songs and artists too that I would love to hear them tackle. Um, but yeah, I just really enjoyed everything about the album, and I could definitely sit and listen to this again. It's got me wanting to. I want to sit and like play the original version and then play the Soul Station version back to back of all these covers, just to kind of a little bit of fun and kind of comparing them. Just like I really have the urge to do that, which I may actually do it this weekend or something if I get a few extra minutes. But yeah, I understand some people may not want to listen to this album because it's not what they want from Paul Stanley. But let's be honest, Live to Win kind of wasn't either. I think everyone wanted it to sound like the '78 solo album, but to me, like I said, I understand and appreciate that Paul grew up with this kind of music, likes this kind of music, just like with Peter. It's like we all know he came from the jazz background. That's why his album's good. Would love to hear him do more of a jazz standards album sometime too. So I feel the same way with the Paul thing. So give the album a chance if you've never listened to it. You may be surprised because, like I say, even if you're, you act like you're 100% against listening to it, at least give it a chance. Because, like I said earlier, there's albums that I've said that I'll never listen to, but in the case of doing this, I would be glad to listen to it. And you got to at least give it a shot at some point. And so, yeah, just highly recommend it, and a very strong 7 for me.
Right. I'm very glad to have a vehicle which, through Paul, can hopefully continue making music after Kiss is done. You know what I mean? Something that's going to be a little bit easier. He doesn't have to worry about his age getting in the way of it. Very happy.
What's up, Javier?
How's it going? Oh, Chicken gave top 5. Much appreciated.
Nice.
Yes, I went to six on this album. Honestly, this was such a hard one to rank. This isn't a style that I typically listen to. No, and I wouldn't say that I dislike it. It's not that. I just don't typically listen to this. And because of that, I have a lot less context by which to judge the songs and the work overall. You know what I mean? So having said that, man, I really enjoyed this listen a lot. I got a little bored in the middle, but there were plenty of redeeming moments. And like we kept saying over and over, there was not a single bad song, not a one. As with Live to Win, I feel like anything negative I have to say is just nitpicky. Just going to knock that out of the way real quick. Nitpick number 1. I wish I hadn't gotten bored in the middle of this. The songs started to run together. Maybe a few less tracks would have fixed that, but that could also just be attributed to the fact that, again, I don't listen to this music super often. Right. Nitpick 2, I would have loved to have just a few more guitar solos, nothing super flashy, but like with the small solos that were in Lorelei and You Are Everything, just me personally, I would have liked just a few more like tasteful guitar sections would have been neat. Finally, very, very occasionally, I felt like the mastering was a bit wonky. I heard some compression ducking just here and there, not all throughout, just in a couple of spots. Could have been the engineer pushing the overall volume a little too hard, or just compressing in certain spots a little too much. Again, not even close to ruining the production. I still don't feel bad even a little bit saying the production of this is top-notch. That's all the nitpicks. Everyone involved in this thing absolutely killed it. The musicians all played and sang absolutely the best they could. Again, I have to give special praise to Sean Hurley for the bass parts all throughout this, whether they were his own or a cover. It's not even that anything he was doing was like flashy and unusual. It's just simply the notes he played and where he chose to put them over what Eric was playing made the groove of each song for me. And of course, again, like I mentioned earlier with the Toto thing, groove for me was kind of what I was looking for on this. You know what I mean? How well do these songs groove? And every time I found one that I really dug, it was because of what Sean Hurley was doing. The production is absolutely top-notch. Already gushed about it earlier, but suffice it to say that for me, this is pinnacle engineering and mixing I think, for this style of music and even for rock. Like I said earlier, and we've talked about this plenty of times before, um, Eric Singer's drums have a habit of sounding a little weird on Kiss stuff just sometimes, and they sound perfect on this. Every
Mhm.
song you could hear the bass drum, the snare drum, the toms. There were different snare drum tones depending on the song, and it always matched absolutely great. If Motown, soul, and R&B music is your thing, I think I can safely say you're going to enjoy the heck out of this disc. I like to think growing up with a music teacher for a dad, I have a pretty wide taste in music, although it's definitely no secret I'm more of a rock and metal guy more than anything else. But even for that, for my taste in music, I was easily able to find a bunch of things that I loved about this. So again, it just ties right back into what you were saying, Eli. If you're one of those that thinks I don't care about hearing this at all, at least go check out the singles. And even if that's all you do, I think you might surprise yourself. Keep an open mind. It is really good stuff.
Absolutely, 100%. Uh, yeah, Ronnie, I appreciate the output there. I'm definitely going to look for that movie Over the Edge. I definitely want to check it out. I just downloaded the Valerie Carter version of Ooh Child, so I will definitely be listening to that. And then Chicken, I'm going to check out that Cocktail Twins album that you mentioned. Got that pulled up too, so looks pretty cool. All right, do we have? Are we ready for the tallies in, or
Yes, yes, and we may have to do this next week as well. At least do like a re-up of the counting. We didn't announce that we were going to do this until earlier today, so there's a good chance we'll get like Steve and Rochelle McGowan votes in there. Of course, we've got Chicken's top five. Anybody else that wants to throw in votes, even if you are watching this video super late, if you are not here on this live stream and you're watching it later, throw your votes in the comments. We will absolutely restructure this and talk about it next week or the week after that. Like I said earlier, it would be super upset, or yeah, super upset. It would be super easy to upset the rankings I'm about to tell you guys. The scores are all really close on this. So here's what we got for right now. If anybody hasn't looked in the live chat, Chicken in Translation has put in top five. Ooh Baby, Let's Stay Together, La La Means I Love You, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, and Ooh Child. Pretty excellent top five there. So we've got Chicken's top five. You got the rankings you've just seen Eli and I give. Putting all that together, what we're getting right now is a 6.5 average overall out of 10 for the rankings. In last place, pretty unsurprisingly, Save Me From You. Both of us had that ranked pretty low. In 13th place, Baby I Need Your Loving. In 12th place, I Do. In 11th place, Just My Imagination Running Away With Me. In 10th place, La La Means I Love You. In 9th, Let's Stay Together. In 8th place, The Tracks of My Tears. In 7th place, I O I. In 6th place, Whenever You're Ready, I'm Here. In 5th place, You Are Everything. And our top four for Soul Station's Now and Then. In 4th place, Lorelei. In 3rd place, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? In 2nd place, Ooh Baby Baby. And in 1st place, Ooh Child.
all right? I like that.
Absolutely. So again, just as a quick reminder, guys, just because we've read the rankings and this episode is over does not mean that the polls are closed. Go ahead and throw your rankings in there, and I imagine that next week we'll talk about what changes have been made. I'm almost sure we'll get votes from Steve and Rochelle McGowan, and that's bound to change some stuff in there. So don't be afraid to throw your votes in. We're going to count it all.
Definitely. All right, so that does it for Soul Station. Was very glad to finally be able to listen to that album. Now I'm ashamed of myself that I waited this long. But it definitely will be revisiting that, and definitely gonna listen to the originals versus the Soul Station versions. See, Javier says he's yet to listen to it. Yeah, I mean, hey, that happens sometimes, man. Like, that was our first time hearing Live to Win when we did that album. And, yeah, there's things I discover that came out in like 1968 that's new to me, and it just now catches me. So, it's just funny how things happen that way. And that's the beautiful thing about music, our taste and brains grow as we get older, it seems like. And we, start listening to, things that catch us that maybe 10, 20 years ago we would have never, thought we would like. So definitely recommend
Absolutely.
it, Javier, whenever you get time. So yeah, Over the Edge, I've got that working now. I'm definitely going to check that out. All that good stuff. So. All right, so I think that wraps it up then, and not sure what's coming next week as usual. We may go ahead and do another review. We're trying to remember if we had any good topic ideas, and we seem to be blanking on if we did, and if so, what they were. But you guys could come in too and let us know if there's any sort of topics that maybe you want to hear, and even maybe discuss with us. Let us know. We'll be glad to take your recommendations and turn it into a show.
Absolutely. Any other Kiss related albums you guys want us to review specifically? Every time we've done an album review recently, we've just picked one out of the air. So even if you guys just pick it for us, tell us what you want us to listen to. We're not even completely against re-reviewing one as long as it's not Laura Nero or Chelsea. Or we had a couple of real rough, weird ones near the beginning of the Second Coming series a couple of years ago. That was,
yeah, that Dan Hartman one was kind of
yeah.
weird. That was not was.
It was not was basically anything Vinny was part of was pretty weird.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it there. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and call this one a show and wrap it up. So thanks everyone that stopped in and checked it out and chatted with us. And we shall see you next week. Hope everyone takes care. And Javier, send a text when you get a chance. So we will talk to y'all later. And see you. Take it easy. Bye.